Hello my beautiful geniuses. I've had the most awesome day today. I'm wearing my TEMU top. No, not today. Do the day today. I've got my TEMU pillow. I've got my Jesus Bible. I've been watching Legally Blonde with Reese Witherspoon. I've got my TEMU blanket. And I've got my radio and my number 10 lipstick just to give my freshly washed skin a bit of a pop. So anyway, I've always worked and volunteered and studied in UK and living in this beautiful apartment, but at the moment, after about 4 years of really bad schizophrenia and bipolar disorder relapses, I'm under care in the community, which means I get to get welfare and I get to get better in the community rather than in a mental health hospital. And it's so positive, it's so wonderful. I get better and better each day. I have my support workers who visit briefly in the morning because I don't see anyone else otherwise. I have no family or friends, apart from loads of friends in the community. But in English houses, we don't really go into each other's houses. So I have my wonderful support workers who come in, and we have a chat, and they support me to get back to normal everyday life. I've got my welfare benefits, and I've just done a lovely Morrison's shop full of healthy food, and Snickers bars. And they're at the name. And yeah, I have so much to be grateful for. I have cash for extra luxuries, like my Jesus Bible, and my very reasonable TEMU shops. And because of all the voluntary promotional work I do, I'm still giving back to UK. And it was brilliant because all my goodwill for the business that they let me do promoting their brands, they ended up donating about £5 million into the UK Treasury as a thank you. So I really love you all. My friends online have been checking in on me all day. In fact, they always do. I'm always getting little messages from them and I love them so much. So I'm really too blessed to be stressed. But I thought it was quite interesting because when I was watching Legally Blonde, Reese Witherspoon, or Elle Woods, she goes to Harvard Law School, and the professor asks a very interesting question. I can't remember the Latin phrase for it, but basically she says to the students, she says, would you prefer to defend someone who's legally insane yet has committed a crime, or someone who's legally sane and has committed a crime? And I thought, well, that's interesting because everyone has this idea that schizophrenics, paranoid schizophrenics, are the most violent, vile people there are. And obviously then there's this whole discussion, like if a paranoid schizophrenic commits a crime, as you see sometimes in the news, they splash it across the news when 1 in a million kicks off. They say, is that person deemed guilty or were they legally insane? And lots of people will use mental health as an excuse and say, oh, I was insane, so that's why I committed a crime, so you can't judge me. So they said to the students, would you prefer to defend in law someone who says they're legally insane or someone who's sane? They both committed a crime, which one would you prefer to defend? And I was thinking a lot about that. And first of all, I'd like to say that just because you have a mental illness like paranoid schizophrenia, of all the experiences I've had in mental hospitals, and I've been in about 3 institutions since my diagnosis in 2004, I've never met a single violent patient. They're actually the most vulnerable, insecure, anxious people, so gentle. And I find that it's actually the sane people who abuse the insane the most. People, not everyone, but people who are in positions of medical authority who take the mick out of them. I've had people come into my flats against my will, unlawfully entry, sane people, and who've taken the mick out of my vulnerability because I'm a soft target. So yeah, very grateful for the government giving me care in the community. But it is horrible when you see headlines of like these freaky people who pretend they're insane to get off their crimes. And it just gives mental illness such a bad name because I've never known a single person with mental illness who's evil and who would commit a crime. Not one single person in all my time of being in mental institutions and mixing in the community with people who might have mental health problems. Never, ever, ever. In my experience, it's always the same people who cause the most trouble because they think that they have power and they think they can get away with it because it's a soft target, a mentally ill person. But yeah, going back to the question, who would you rather defend in court? Let's say we had 2 people, the insane person and the sane person, both had committed a terrible crime, and which one would you rather defend? So it's a very interesting question, and the thought it raised in my mind was because obviously if you're insane, you've got diminished capability, so if you're not in your right mind, then you can't always be held accountable for what you've done. But on the other hand, an insane person's testimony, the question that rose in my mind was, is this insane person still legally allowed to have a voice? Is their testimony acceptable? Because when I was being unlawfully entered into my flat and assaulted, and that was about 4 years now, you're talking that it happened, I was told the whole time, oh, you're delusional, you're just imagining it, you're imagining it. How could anyone get in your flat? Because the lock was never broken, it was always picked or opened with a key. And they say, oh, you're delusional. You're just imagining it. You're just imagining that your toilet paper is disappearing and you're replacing it every day. You have schizophrenia, we're not listening to you. Now, that wasn't really the cops' fault, because they're on the front line, and they were relying on mental health and social services insights. But it was very interesting, because I thought, well, even though I was sick at the time with as bad schizophrenia and bipolar, because of various reasons I wasn't being properly treated. No one's fault, just a few bad apples. I thought to myself, well, is my testimony still valid? Can a schizophrenic who's sick be able to say, look, so-and-so did this to me? Or will they just be brushed off? Will they just be said, oh, will they just be told, oh, you're insane? You're just imagining it. It's just your delusions, it's just your hallucinations, it's your psychosis. And I thought that's a very interesting question that arose from that question that the professor in Legally Blonde asked her students. And of course, if you are sane and culpable for a crime that you committed, then and especially if you committed it against an insane person, in my mind that makes you very responsible, whether you're in a position of authority or whether you're just someone who's taking the mick and sees a soft target. So yeah, but I can't complain. I've had a lovely duvet day today. I feel so refreshed, like Sleeping Beauty, except I've had no prince to awake me. But I've had like millions of awesome heroes from the metaverse phone me. Princes, y'all. Peace. Something to think about. Love ya. Stay strong. Stay cool. Stay gentle. There.